Hello, I'm Odin, and this week is May the 4th, which is practically a Star Wars holiday. So I thought this year I would make a Star Wars prop I've wanted for a long time. A Lego lightsaber that lights up. So I've made a few Lego pieces before. These are all giant size with a scale that I determined that I wanted to use. There's some previous videos, you can check them out. And I've almost made a Star Wars blaster already, because this piece with this, if this was translucent orange, this would be the late 90s, the very first version of the Star Wars blaster that Lego put out. So I've already got that, almost. What I want to make in this video is the lightsaber, pardon me, which is the handle and then the blade. These are two separate parts. I want to make just the element that I can use with these pieces to actually build with, and then I want to make another one where the blade is permanently attached and part of the lightsaber so it can light up. And I don't mind that the blade's going to be permanently attached, because Lego actually made a light up lightsaber minifig a few years ago, and it was all permanently attached to their hand. So Lego set a precedence that light up Lego lightsabers, the blade doesn't come off, so it's okay if mine doesn't. But first, let's make the basic hilt. Since I have made some Lego parts before, I was able to make detailed patterns for my lightsaber before I cut any foam for this project. However, I don't know every measurement I need. I know how wide each strip of 4mm foam needs to be, and how wide I want each strip of 6mm foam. But until I wrap the foam around my lightsaber hilt, I won't know how long each one needs to be. To make the core, I have a 1-inch PVC pipe that will be cut to 133mm long. It's currently longer than that right now. And I scratched out the pipe with some 80 grit sandpaper. That helps the glue to stick. Apply contact cement to both the PVC pipe and to a piece of 4mm foam. And once the contact cement is dry, I can wrap the foam around the pipe. And then later, I'll cut it down to the correct length. This gets me to a diameter of just about 42mm, which is the exact scale or size that I've decided to make all of my Lego pieces. Now I start to cut the strips of 4mm foam. Some of the strips, I know the size that I want. I've made some similar shapes for earlier Lego builds. These known strip sizes make the stud bumps that are on the either end of the lightsaber. And each one is made from 2 layers of 4mm foam, and I'm wrapping them around a 1¼ inch piece of PVC pipe for gluing. The 1¼ inch pipe is also 42mm in diameter, so it's a handy tool for making these parts. Now there are 2 different lengths, only slightly, but they are different. And I make 2 sets, because I want to make 2 giant Lego pieces. One end has another ring made from 2 layers of 4mm foam. These are wrapped around the longer stud piece. The other end gets the 4 claw pieces, which is the last part I'll figure out. I cut a set of plugs for the pipe so that my Lego piece will look solid, and I make sure that they fit. Those are good. I got the emitter. I've got my emitter end. With a Lego piece, it can be either end, but the one that's got the double rings at the top, it's got the 2 rings, and then there's the body, and it's got the other 2 that go around here. To me, this is the emitter end. So I've got both of those made for both the ones I want to make. I guess I want to figure out this. I need to cut down this part. Let's cut down this part. I wanted to try my new Ryobi miter saw just to see how clean it would cut the pipe and foam. It's perfect, of course. The center pipe is cut to 133mm long, and I super glue the plugs into both ends. I set my calipers to 11.5mm and lock the size, so I can mark the depth that I want to glue the emitter onto the center grip. More super glue, which is easier to use than contact cement when you're fitting cylinders together like this. The clawed end is also super glued, but this only has a 5mm overlap, but the claws are going to add more stability once they're attached. I can figure out how long the 6mm strip needs to be by wrapping it around the grip, and both strips are attached with contact cement. Okay, I need one more kind of big detail. And there are 4 veins or claws or something that go here at the bottom of the lightsaber. This has always been the bottom to me. I know it's Lego and it can go either way. Maybe those are at the top for you. But when I look at a lightsaber, that part's the bottom and this part's the emitter at the top, because this looks more like Luke's lightsaber from Jedi. It's my brain. But I need to make these pieces. And these are actually gonna be easy to make. I need to cut some 10mm foam, 18mm wide, and I'll do 2 layers of that and then cut an angle on it. Really, that's about it. I start cutting some strips, but then I think about how the bottom stud is only 8mm thick, not 10mm. So I glue together some 4mm foam, making it the right thickness. And that's what I use for making the claws, or veins, or whatever these things are. I just need to cut the corner angle. All the dimensions are listed in the pattern. There's a link in the description. And I have the parts I need for 2 lightsabers. Yeah, that's a Lego lightsaber. That's all it takes. Wow, one last little bit of detail. Oh, that's really cool. I mark where I want each of them to go, apply contact cement to all the pieces, and I finish my first Lego lightsaber hilt. I've got my basic piece. I've got the piece that's part of the building kit, but I want to make one of these that lights up. That's the real goal, right? If you have a lightsaber, it needs to light up and emit light because that makes it a lightsaber. So I've got a piece of acrylic tubing. No, I have a piece of polycarbonate tubing that is going to be just about the right size for the blade. It's a wee bit smaller, but it's going to be just fine. And I'm going to use that for the entire body. That way it's structurally sound. But all of these extra parts I made doubles of when I was making this one. So this next part should go a bit easier. I think I'm going to wipe some of the extra glue off this first. Naphtha will remove the dry glue from the foam, which will give me a cleaner finish once it's Plastadipped. I cut my 1.5" diameter polycarbonate tube to 578mm long. That is long enough for the blade and the body of the lightsaber. The end is capped with more polycarbonate sheet, glued in place with some Weld-On 4 solvent glue. And I really flooded the joint with glue. I'm planning on cutting off all the extra plastic anyway. And a bandsaw can remove that plastic that I don't want. Polycarbonate can be easily cut with woodworking tools, but it can grab or feel sticky while cutting, so be careful with plastic and power tools. I use my disc sander to smooth out the cuts and slightly round the edges. Then I use a set of fingernail emery boards to smooth out the tool marks and get the plastic really close to being smooth again. And another coat of Weld-On 4 brushed over the sanded area will make the plastic smooth and shiny. Now I could have also flame polished this plastic, but I actually forgot about doing that today. So what I want to do with the 1.5" blade is wrap it with 2mm foam. But this wrap portion is going to make up the entire body. I cut this to the length that it should be. Yeah, about appropriate for that's the way you check scale, right? It's like close to my eye, it looks like that, and out there it looks like that. That looks like it's about the same scale. Yeah, that's pretty close. Might be a little bit short, but it's close. So the light up one's going to be permanent. The blade of the light up lightsaber is going to be a permanent piece of the full light up lightsaber. In fact, it's going to be the body. So what I want to do is wrap the bottom 160 or so millimeters with some 2mm foam, and then I can build the rest of the body on top of it. And then I can finally start painting them. I cut the 2mm HD foam skin for the tube. It's 124mm wide and 169mm long. I scratch up the end of the plastic tube. This provides a texture or tooth for the glue to grip. The blue tape protects the part of the tube that I want to keep smooth. I mark the tube with a line as a guide for applying the 2mm foam. It'd be easy to stick it on crooked without any kind of guide. Apply contact cement to both pieces, and then stick the 2mm foam onto the polycarbonate tube. And now to attach the second set of pieces that I had made earlier. The emitter end is super glued on. and the rings are contact cemented in place. By the way, these strips are 10 millimeters wide, and there's a 10 millimeter space in between each of them. So as I glue one on, I can then trace the next strip for my open space, and then glue the next strip on that pencil line. The other end is super glued in place as well. I make sure all the gaps are closed, even on the inside, and then add the 4 claws. So do I like making Lego lightsabers? Yes, I do. This one was really cool, and as long as I get it to light up the way I want it to, I think this might be one of my favorite Lego props that I've done. Not quite there yet. Do I want to make a whole bunch more? Well, maybe not. I'm still kind of the, oh, I'm happy I made one of those, moving on. But yeah, this is really, you know, that's not the way that works. This is really cool. I'm very, very excited about this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really glad that I can get 1.5 wide polycarbonate tube. That's very cool. All right, I'm gonna clean up the extra glue off the outside of this guy, and then I can plastic dip both of them. I realized I needed one more thing before spraying. There we go, that'll be all right. All I need to do is plug up the end, because I just don't want to have a bunch of plastic that gets sprayed down the inside of my clear blade, because that'll just make me cry. So that's gonna be fine. That's all I need. Now, these are both ready. Well, no, I need to cover the outside of this. I made sure the inside was protected. Now I gotta cover the outside, then I can spray it. So I wanna put electronics into the lightsaber. It's drying right now with plastic dip, so I don't have it here with me. I can choke to death on camera, so that's a plus. So I still want to put electronics into my lightsaber. I still want it to light up and be a lightsaber, because that's going to be more fun, right? Now it's over there drying still, because I just sprayed it down with plastic dip, so I'm not going to be able to get a hold of it for a little bit, but that's okay, because I know how I'm going to do the parts. You see, I've done this before. I've done a lightsaber build over on the Beyond Geek channel, so there'll be a link for it right up here. And what we want to do is pretty much imitate what I did before. Now, there is one element to that. It's gotten a little harder to do since the time that I made that video. That video I did back in 2017, 2016, somewhere in there. It's been a few years. And so the toy that I like to use, I still have one, isn't readily available anymore. So unfortunately, I can't just say go to Walmart and buy one of these like I did 6 years ago, but I'm sure there's something compatible and whatever, but I still have some guts to a couple of these. So I'm gonna use ones that were torn up way back when they were only 10 bucks a piece, and I'm gonna leave this one alone because I'm gonna leave this one alone. But so it is also something to look out for in thrift stores are the hilts to these guys, because the electronics are still gonna be good, or at least should be. I want to upgrade them. What I've done is, this is the controller as it comes out of the toy with a basic LED, a basic speaker that's broken. This is where the battery connects, and that takes 3 AA batteries, which is 4.5 volt. That's great. That's going to be easy to replace with an 18650 battery. This is actually only 3.5 volts straight from the battery, but if I run it off of this end, it's up converted to 5 volts. I can do it either way. I'll probably run it on less power because it won't be as, the light won't heat up as much. It's going to be just fine. So, what am I doing? By taking the original electronics and upgrading the LED and upgrading the speaker and upgrading, well, the power supply, I'll get this instead. Now, this was one that I was working on for a friend that wanted a teal lightsaber, which is great, but I don't want a teal lightsaber. So I'm gonna leave this guts alone and set it aside, and I'm gonna rework my last board I've got on hand and put in a blue LED. So, yeah. So there's one other thing I can plan on right now that's gonna be a benefit.
This is the plastic safety cover that slipped over to the old fluorescent bulbs. Again, something I'm not sure you can readily get anymore, but I've got one. And they're about 1.25 inches or so in diameter, which just happens to fit right inside of the 1.5 inch polycarbonate tube. So as long as I get all of my electronics to fit inside of this, I can easily slip it inside of the lightsaber as is, and I'll be okay.
There's a lot to cover with the upgrading of the electronics for the toy. My new LED takes more power than the toy does, and that needs a 242 power transistor to work. And my rechargeable battery is taken out of a $5 power bank from Harbor Freight Tools, which includes the charging circuit as part of the power bank.
So I do apologize that I've jumped ahead a little bit here. I didn't completely shoot everything with putting this particular electronic package together, and it's still not totally fit together. But what I've got, you know what? There'll be a wiring diagram right down in the description. It's basically the same diagram that I posted for Beyond Geek. And if you want a really detailed idea at how I put this together, both look at the Beyond Geek lightsaber build and the Gundam beam saber build, because this is doing the exact same electronics from the toy with the upgrade with the speaker and a better LED that I did for Beyond Geek, but I've also incorporated the rechargeable 18650 battery that I use in the beam saber. And so the end result is, I'm not pointing it at the camera because this is a really bright LED and I don't want to be doing that. But yeah, this should be just fine, and it's got a little bit of the toy knows when you're swinging it around, which is pretty cool. So all I gotta do is get these extra few little parts inside the plastic sleeve that I know fits inside of the polycarbonate tube, preferably without pinching any of the wires that are, you know, important, because they are all important. There are no non-trivial wires going on here. Remove the plug, put the electronics inside the tube. All right. Now, the blade isn't lighting up very well, but it's doing everything else I want. So what's the deal? Basically, I need to put a diffuser in the blade. Not a big shock. This is pretty standard. And all I need to do for the diffuser, where did I put it? Is cellophane. Really, that's it. This is the clear cellophane. I'm just going to go somewhere where there's less dust. I'm going to go cut myself a good piece of this, roll it into a tube, put it inside of the blade, put the electronics back inside, and having a few layers of this inside the blade is all it's going to take to diffuse the light and make the whole thing light up. You'll see, just a second. Roll up a couple of layers of clear film and put it in the tube. Realize the end of the tube is still not diffused, so I cut out a small piece of illusion film to fit back inside the bottom of the tube. That's great. I put the clear film inside and then the electronics. Kind of looks like the billy clubs from Futurama, but it's proportionally the same. It's within centimeters of being correct, so I'm okay with it. And the last thing I need is a silver coating. Now, Lego lightsabers do come in various colors and finishes, but what I wanted was the non-chrome yet shiny silver version. And using a waxy paint called Rub and Buff feels like the look that I wanted. And it's pretty easy to apply and dries quickly. All the items in this video I already had in the shop. I put a list in the description. I am super happy to have more Legos to be able to go with the other parts I've built. I've taken these to a couple of cons now, laid them out on a table, and just let people realize what they are, and the fact that the pieces do actually fit together and work the way you want them to. Everybody lights up. Everybody who knows what these are lights up and enjoys playing with these things. So making giant Legos is definitely something I'm going to be doing more of. And now that I've got a lightsaber, yeah, this is really, really cool. So definitely, I still have a preference for classic space, but I mean, come on. Lightsaber, yeah, lightsaber. So this is really this is really what I needed. This is really what I wanted today. This is really cool. I need to get some clear parts made up. That would be pretty cool. That is something I am kind of missing right now, is that I don't have the clear elements. I don't have the you know, the bits that I need, but still, I'm getting okay. So if there's any other elements that you really want to see, if there's something else that would be the first choice for the next part to make, I'm not quite ready to do a minifig yet. Everyone wants me to make minifigs. That'll happen. I'm not quite there yet. I'll get there. But I do know that there's going to be lots of different ways that you can make a lightsaber, not just from Lego. But this is how Odin makes. Well, that won't work. I want to thank Marvel Guy 2001, Steve Mead, Miss Mary Mac, and all of my Patreon supporters. Patreon members at the $5 and above level get access to my private Discord, which includes weekly games with me, proper-related chat, and early access to live streams. My Patreon support is the #1 thing that makes this show possible. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Have an idea for something for me to make? Please leave a comment below. And if you make any of these projects, you can send me a picture.